When did the banking app first display a six-digit number? Finally, I closed the program and opened it again to make sure everything was working properly. I saw it correctly. There were $200,000 in it. I turned 29 years old. The most surprising thing about this situation is that I've never received a six-figure salary in my life. I didn't get it, didn't create an explosive business, and didn't make successful deals with cryptocurrency at 3 in the morning. How a person with a completely ordinary income managed to quietly save up $200,000 before the age of 30. It was the result of one heroic act. That was a total of 20 small, almost boring habits that I repeated over the years until they didn't change, they didn't seem like a victim anymore, and they didn't become a part of me. Here are the 20 habits that allowed you to create this amount. And the first one of those, that's the reason the other 19 got a chance at all work. Before I continue, I will be honest in my calculations, because the final figure sounds more impressive than the method itself. Most of the time when I was in my 20s, I saved about $1,500 a month. For approximately 8 years, including employer contributions, and based on the market compound interest, this amount increased to $200,000.
The contributions were mine, and the growth was provided by time, doing what it does best. In total, every dollar invested came about because of habits that they released money that usually goes unnoticed from people. Speech is never it was about how much I earned, it was about what I kept for myself. To give this a shape, imagine it as approximately $1,500 a month are sent to work every month for 8 years. Only this gives about $144,000 of personal investment. The rest, up to $200,000, is not my fault. This is the magic of the complexa percentage. These are the years when profitability was layered on top of profitability, while I just lived my life. Contributions were the result of frugality, and growth was the result of an early start and refusal to touch this money. Let's start with the habit that made the process happen: automatic.
Number 1, pay yourself first and never see that money again. Majority, it collapses for a simple reason. You are trying to save what will remain at the end of the month, but by this time, the account usually has nothing on it. It remains. I completely changed this order. The day after, when I got my paycheck, the automatic transfer took my savings before I was paid. How did I manage to see them? Before I could talk myself into a weekend break, which would have cost $200 unnoticed, the money was spent on separate savings and investment accounts that I have access to deliberately made harder. Out of sight, out of mind. This is a game changer. You are no longer rely on your willpower, which is usually exhausted by Friday night. You rely on the system that moved funds while you were sleeping. The first month was unusual, I won't pretend. But by the third, by a month, I just converted to a smaller amount in my wallet and never found it. I missed what I didn't see. This solution seemed insignificant, but on it builds all the other habits from this list.
Number 2, drive a boring car that's already paid off the loan. Here's a figure that can cause discomfort, as it destroys budgets young people most often. By the end of the year 2025, the monthly payment for a new car in America has reached $767, and the average car price was over $50,000. A colleague of mine, let's call him Marcus, took out a new loan, a truck, the same year we were both hired. We had the same one starting salaries. So far, Marcus has sent $767 a month for a transport that started losing value in that second. As I left the salon, I drove a used Toyota. I bought it for cash and used it for 9 years. This difference is $700 a day. For a month, it was heading in a useful direction. If you invest this money in the market over the years, the amount Marcus spent on smelling new a car by itself would turn into a 6-digit number. He went to work in a beautiful car, and I with a calm soul. The trap of a new car is also dangerous because it's now more than 20%. The credits stretch for 84 months. 7 full years, you are paying for an item that is constantly getting cheaper. Marcus didn't just pay more monthly, he paid much longer for the asset working against him. By the time the loan was repaid, the truck was worth only a small fraction the money invested, while my boring Toyota turned into net savings on wheels.
Number 3, take every dollar of bonus from your employer without exception. If your company offers co-financing for your pension, but you don't have it if you use it, you are actually refusing a salary increase. In the 26th year, it is allowed to deposit up to $24,000, $500 to a 401k retirement account. But you don't need to reach this ceiling. Just exactly contribute as much to get maximum bonus from the employer, as this is a guaranteed return which can't be found anywhere else in finance. When I started, the company, she doubled every dollar I invested. This is an instant yield of 100% before the exchange opens. I treated this contribution as if it were my own the first invoice in the month, more important than rent, groceries, and everything else. People, they often leave this money untouched because the future I seems to them a stranger. But this is not the case. Future you really exists, and pick up free money while it's being given. If you earn $50,000 of American and ignore the bonus of a few percent, you lose more than $1,000 a year. Over a decade, including compound interest, this turns into tens of thousands of dollars that were worth nothing.
Number 4, treat every raise as if it never happened. This habit distinguishes those who get ahead from those who are just faster running on a treadmill. When I got my first promotion, there was the temptation to improve your life, rent a better apartment, buy a new phone, or go to restaurants more often. Instead, I kept the standard of living the same, and I increased the amount of automatic transfer to savings by almost the entire size increases. There is a term, lifestyle inflation. Precisely because of it, people who earn twice as much as they did 5 years ago don't quit. They feel poor. They spend the raise before it goes to the bank account score. Marcus received the same promotions, but by the time he was 30, his expenses were falling. They grew so much that they swallowed up every extra dollar. He wasn't reckless. He simply allowed spending to follow income like a shadow. I broke that connection, and the surplus started working on the same day they have appeared. Redirecting this money is easy, because 5 minutes ago, they weren't counted on.
Number 5, fix your rental costs and don't let them go up. Housing. This is the biggest lever in the budget. It is usually advised to spend no more money on it more than 30% of your income. I thought of that 30% as a ceiling, not a goal. For several years, I lived with a neighbor longer than my parents. My friends thought it was normal. When I started living alone, I chose an apartment with a smaller closet and a slightly longer commute to work because it was $300 a month cheaper. That's $3,600 USD per year, excluding investment income. Everyone around us was improving housing conditions immediately after the increase, but a large apartment does not bring profits. A lower rent, directed to investments for 10 years, works tirelessly. Square meters that are boasted about today, this is often a pension borrowed from tomorrow. Number 6, make cheap food the default option, rather than a punishment. It's not about never going to restaurants. It's about what happens on a normal, tired Tuesday. It's just a regular hamburger now. It costs from $16 to $22. With a drink and tip, dinner easily exceeds $30 per person. Do this 4 times a day, and you'll spend almost $500 a month on the food you need. They didn't even really want to. For a year, this is $6,000 spent on a convenience you barely noticed. My standard is a list of simple and cheap dishes that can be prepared almost in a dream. Lunch containers for tomorrow, the absence of spoiled food in the refrigerator. This shift saved thousands of dollars a year, and I started to feel better.
Number 7, the 2-day rule for all desires. Impulse purchases. This is not a problem of money, but of time. The store's strategy is to shorten the path from wishes are reached at the touch of a button. I intentionally returned to this one. The process is friction. Anything that wasn't vital was added to the list. Waiting times for 2 full days. Almost always, the desire faded away by itself. That what seemed urgent on Friday night looked ridiculous on Sunday in the morning. I made the purchases that survived 2 days without feeling guilty. You will be surprised how often spending money is just a fleeting mood in a suit needs. One-click purchase buttons are designed to bypass your doubts. The 2-day rule returns control to you.
Number 8. Audit subscriptions that quietly draw money. The average family pays for several streaming services, such as a gym, which doesn't work, and cloud storage. In total, this often amounts to from $60 to $75 a month for something that no one else can use. Once a quarter, I checked my bank statements and canceled everything I didn't want to do. Touched for a month. I started alternating services. I subscribed to one, I watched everything I wanted, canceled it, and moved on to the next one. The same movies, but for a fraction of the previous cost. Companies rely on your inertia. 20 minutes, 4 times a year is enough to stop the leak.
Number 9. Buy second-hand if the item loses its value immediately after purchase. Many products are devalued when you leave the store. Buying a new one in such cases is a tax for the right to be the first. Furniture, electronics of past models, simulators, tools, almost all of it is to be bought with hands in excellent condition. I got the $400 table I am in my 80s because the owner needed to move right away. A half-price bike that was almost never ridden. Previous owner paid for depreciation, and I got 90% of the functionality for 30% of the cost. People are often ashamed to buy used cars, like it's a sign of poverty. Actually pay full price for what tomorrow it will cost half as much? This is a sure way to stay poor, trying to look rich.
Number 10. Send any random earnings past the main account. Tax refunds, bonuses, birthday gifts, part-time jobs. Usually such money is perceived as permission to spend. I've trained myself to the opposite. The money I hadn't counted on didn't even stick around in my current account. They went into investments on the day of receipt before then the brain had time to classify them as means for entertainment. For 8 years, these sums made up an impressive part of my capital because I never once allowed myself to spend it. The joy of buying, the reward for found money, is fleeting, but when invested, it grows just as fast as when it is spent. Earned money